What's up, y'all? You're watching Union Minded. I'm your host, Eric, and today we're going to talk about what's going on in Tennessee. Have you heard what's going on in the Tennessee legislature? A little bit of the backdrop. As you must be aware of by now, there was a shooting at a Christian school. 3 students and 3 staff members died. A trans person was the person that went there and shot the school up. Trans person also passed away, shot in a shootout with the police. That's the backdrop. As a result of that, that shooting inspired a student-led protest to the state legislature to demand some gun reform, or that their lawmakers address these school shootings to try to actually do something about it. As you know, it's been a problem in America for a very long time. Well, what's going on currently is out of the realm of normal. This is extreme stuff, and it's ironic because it rears and stinks of white supremacy. And white supremacy is so ingrained in America that it seems to permeate everything. The racism, the division, those lines, it seems to just pollute and divide everything. From the women's national basketball game and the controversy with the Iowa team and the LSU team, to Joe Biden now wanting to invite the Iowa team to the White House as well. I don't know why we're inventing participation trophies. I actually have a theory, but we're not bold enough to just admit it. We make excuses to ourselves as to why all of these divisions exist. But over and over again, especially recently, we're seeing it more and more. And here I'm going to give you an example. This is according to the Tennessean. Tried to find an outlet that was local so that I'm not trying to listen to national storylines. I want to hear from the local correspondents down there what's going on. So let me read this article to you. Tennessee GOP begins expulsion process for 3 Democrats. House session devolves into chaos. Monday night's House session turned chaotic amid action over resolutions to expel 3 Democratic members. You should know that the Tennessee state legislature is about 70-30 Republican Democrat. So it's dominated by the GOP. They don't really need Democrats to get anything passed. This article was written by Melissa Brown and Vivian Jones of the Nashville Tennessean. It was published 5:59 p.m. Central Standard Time on April 3rd. It was updated at 2:41 Central Standard Time on April 4th, today. So this is from today. All right, moving right along. Yells rang out through the state capitol as Tennessee House Republicans on Monday introduced resolutions to expel 3 Democrats for disorderly behavior after the trio led protest chants for gun reform on the floor of the chamber last week in the wake of the deadly Covenant School shooting. On Thursday, the 3 House Democrats approached the podium between bills without being recognized to speak, a breach of chamber rules. With a bullhorn, Reps Gloria Johnson of Knoxville, Justin Jones of Nashville, and Justin Pearson of Memphis led protesters in the galleries in several chants calling for gun reform. House leadership later likened the trio's behavior to an insurrection. Listen to the inflammatory language. I might add that these are reps, minorities, people of color, and a woman. And you'll hear the language that's used to describe this: an insurrection, a characterization House Democrats decried last week. The expulsion resolutions claim the 3 did knowingly and intentionally bring disorder and dishonor to the House of Representatives through their individual and collective actions. Final votes to expel the 3 members will occur Thursday. Johnson, Jones, and Pearson will have an opportunity to defend their actions during that session. Tennessee legislative expulsions. From sexual misconduct to opposing rights of former slaves, the House chamber fell into chaos as Republican Rep. Andrew Farmer from Savierville introduced the first resolution which called for Pearson's expulsion. Protesters screamed from the galleries above. Pearson raised his fist in protest, and House Democrats raised their hands to object. Amid the chaos, House Speaker Cameron Sexton from Crossville called for the vote. All three resolutions passed in a party line vote of 72 to 23. Democrats will have little power to block expulsions on Thursday. So again, the legislature is severely lopsided, and so there's very little that the Democrats could do about this. But let's not mistake what this action is. This is not democracy. This is shutting up dissent. This is silencing entire districts that have 80,000 people who voted for those representatives to be in that position to speak out for them. Let's not mistake this for what it is. Tennessee Capitol protest explainer. Here's what did and did not happen. Sexton did not recess the chamber as protesters in the gallery began chants of fascists, and wagged their fingers and fists at members. Instead, the speaker called for troopers to clear the House galleries. While the majority of the crowd cleared peacefully, one woman was handcuffed and carried out of the gallery by state troopers after she refused to follow commands and pushed a responding trooper, per Davidson County Court records. She was charged with assault on a first responder, disorderly conduct, and disrupting a meeting of procession. It was the only arrest on Monday, when thousands of young people marched on the Capitol to call for gun reform, Tennessee Highway Patrol confirmed. Meanwhile, on the House floor, Jones and Rep. Justin Lafferty, Republican from Knoxville, were taking phone videos of the gallery being cleared. A scuffle ensued between the two, with Lafferty snatching Jones's phone away. In response, a knot of lawmakers converged on the House floor in confrontation that took several minutes to cool down. It's almost like one person got jumped by a bunch of other people. After House business resumed, Jones accused Lafferty of misconduct. Rep. Justin Lafferty pushed me and stole my phone and tried to incite a riot with his fellow members in this section of the House. I have it on video. I will send it to you, Jones told Sexton. Jones shared the video with the Tennessean of the incident, which appears to depict a physical confrontation between the two lawmakers. In a statement to the Tennessean on Tuesday, Lafferty did not deny shoving Jones or grabbing his phone. Representative Jones came to my desk, and as I turned, he shoved his phone in my face in a threatening manner. In a threatening manner. Really? I reacted as anyone would, Lafferty said. Attempts to characterize this as anything else are misleading and false. The three members who are in danger of losing their jobs are desperate to deflect attention away from their actions. Democratic lawmakers pushed back. The trio were present and voted on bills Monday night. Together they represent more than 210,000 constituents. Again, this is the voice of the people, of their districts. This is not these three people just making up stuff. This is the voice of their districts. They're doing their jobs. We're going to push back. We're going to fight this because it's unprecedented and utterly ridiculous, Johnson said. The Tennessee Three. What to know about the House Democrats targeted for expulsion by Republicans. Johnson said she would consider a lawsuit if expelled, arguing their protest is constitutionally protected. She also pointed to a list of recent scandals involving lawmakers that didn't lead to expulsion, including the former House Speaker Glenn Casada, a Republican from Franklin, who is under federal indictment, and former Rep. David Byrd, who was accused of sexually assaulting teenagers when he was a basketball coach decades earlier. Jim Jordan. We had a child molester on the floor for years. They helped him get reelected and did nothing to expel him, Johnson said. We've had members pee in each other's chairs. We've had members illegally prescribe drugs to their cousin mistress. And nothing happened, but talk on the floor without permission and you'll get expelled. The House Democratic Caucus released a statement after Monday's votes saying the caucus stands firmly united with its members. The Democratic Caucus has unanimously formally voted to oppose the baseless resolutions for expulsion and will zealously oppose them should they come up for a vote on the House floor, the statement said. Tennessee Black Caucus of state legislatures also issued a statement Monday night objecting to the resolutions. It's impossible to sit idly by. Facing expulsion, Rep. Justin Pearson responds to colleagues. This political retribution is unconstitutional and in this moment morally bankrupt, the group said. The people who elected us are calling for meaningful action to end gun violence, and the people have a right to be heard through their duly elected representatives. The group said Sexton instead should be leading a real bipartisan discussion to generate reforms that could stop the next school shooting. Floor protest by Democrats. The trio's floor protest last Thursday came just days after the deadly Covenant shooting that left 3 children and 3 school staff members dead. House lawmakers on Thursday had to walk through a gauntlet of protesters, many of whom were teenagers who had marched on the Tennessee Capitol demanding gun reform. On the floor, Jones verbally sparred several times with Sexton after the trio approached the well, the area in the front of the chamber where lawmakers speak. Sexton immediately recessed the chamber, halting legislative business for nearly an hour and ordering security to clear the House galleries of spectators. Before the galleries were cleared, the Democratic trio led the crowd in chants of gun reform now. The trio later walked off the House floor after a heated confrontation with their own Democratic leadership. Though leadership has since supported their actions, the House resumed its regular calendar with the Democrats remaining on the floor. Following the demonstration, Johnson, Pearson, and Jones, access to the Cordell Hull Legislative Office building and members' parking garage were restricted. Johnson told reporters Monday that her building access badge had been deactivated and she was unable to access the building to retrieve her mobility scooter over the weekend. So they turned off their badges. The legislature was like, we're going to kick them out. Go ahead and turn off their badges so that they can't come in here all by themselves. Let's make it hard for them to come in here. Restricting access. Again, these are old tactics. Committee ouster. And I know there's folks watching this going, oh, please stop playing the race card, blah, blah, blah. Please. Please. We're not naive. In this environment, we're all pretty much educated, well-read, and we're learning together. We're certainly not naive. Committee ouster. Tennessee House Speaker strips Democrats of committee roles after Capitol protest. No one told me that my garage pass was cut off. No one told me that my badge to the building was cut off, Johnson said. My scooter was inside the building. I needed it at home. I don't always need it at home on the weekend, but I needed it this past weekend because there was a big downtown event. Doug Kuffner, a spokesperson for Sexton, confirmed access was restricted for the 3 members on Monday. Rep. Johnson was on limited access after her antics on Thursday, Kuffner told the Tennessean. A trooper is always on site and a number is posted on the door outside the garage. They could have helped her. Rep. Johnson could have also called her leadership team for her caucus, the clerk, the speaker's office, or HR if she had trouble accessing the building. Or you could have just never deactivated the pass so that they could have just did what they had to do. They worked there too. But no, your racist ass was blocking access to the minorities and the people of color who objected what you were trying to do, which is not represent the people that were trying to call for change. All they want to do is have a discussion, and you're trying to shut up even the conversation. All 3 continue to have access to their offices and legislative staff. Both Pearson and Jones spoke on the floor Monday night. Meanwhile, Sexton stripped Johnson and Jones of their committee assignments. Again, Pearson does not serve on any committees. Just having a difference of opinion doesn't mean we shouldn't be able to come to a solution. It means we should work together to come to a common agreement so that we can move forward. All this, let's cut our noses off to spite our face. Let's not work together. Let's go to our corners and let's not address any of the real problems that we face together is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. We all live in this world together. Yeah, live and let live, but there's certain things that we have to do together. It's just the way it is. Sorry, it's part of society. But no, they're acting like spoiled children. Meanwhile, Sexton stripped them of their committees. What they did was try to hold up the people's business on the House floor instead of doing it the way that they should have done it, which they have the means to do. Remember that the status quo has not been working for average people, and people are tired of the status quo, but this person's saying, do the status quo. Business as usual. Don't change things. That's old. That's that old thinking. It permeates everything. Any organization, if you got people that have been doing it for 20 and 30 years that came up a certain way of thinking, they're not seeing the moment for what it is, and they're all having the same, status quo. Either that or they're benefiting and profiting off of the system the way it is. But the people are not. The people are being oppressed. The people are being exploited. The people are getting starved. It's not a good look, and this is slipping in the wrong direction when you can silence dissent in this way because you dominate the House. You can just kick people out and silence 210,000 people. What they did was try to hold up the business of the house, blah, 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 blah. They actually thought they would be arrested, and so they decided that them being a victim was more important than focusing on the 6 victims of Monday night. And that's appalling. Yeah, representing the people that are there for you is appalling. That's funny. Expulsion precedent. Waiting outside the chamber on Monday night, Jones said said a non-bipartisan expulsion vote would be unprecedented. The last time the House expelled a sitting lawmaker was in 2016 when the chamber voted 70-2 to remove then Rep. Jeremy Durham, Republican from Franklin, from the House for alleged sexual misconduct. At the time, it was the first expulsion since 1980 and only the second since the Civil War. Robert Fisher was kicked off of the House in 1980 after being convicted of soliciting a $1,000 bribe in exchange to his vote to kill a bill. 6 lawmakers were ousted during the 1866 special session after they tried to prevent Tennessee from ratifying an amendment to the U.S. Constitution to provide citizenship to, you guessed it, former slaves, because racism is in everything, ladies and gentlemen. Last year, for the first time in its history, the Tennessee Senate voted to expel a senator, stripping Senator Katrina Robinson, Democrat of Memphis, of her elected position for following her federal conviction on federal wire fraud charges. And that is the end of the article. And that catches you up to what is going on in Tennessee at the moment regarding the 3 Democratic lawmakers who are facing expulsion because they supported their constituents in a matter that their constituents were passionate enough to go march on the Capitol for, which is protecting our children at schools. This is just a glimpse into the larger political environment we're in. All right, what's happening in this Tennessee government is the aim all over the place for these wacko extremists that are winning elections. Extremists like Marjorie Taylor Greene, this crazy MAGA Trumpian psychopathic wing of the right. Not everybody, but the ones that are insanely racist and just bad people, those folks, oof, they got bad intentions, and we got to be the opposite of that. So we lead with love, they lead with hate. Love conquers hate. Love thy neighbor. My name is Eric. You're watching Union Minded. Remember, the fight is not left and right, it is up and down, and it's going to take class solidarity to win always. Each one teach one. Get out there and reach one. And remember, there's no union without you and I front and center. Peace.